professors, which they thought was hilarious. So but it showed how good the VR was.
All right, Gary.
I'm a Middle East Studies major from my past, and I am so excited to dive in here and start to explore the hundreds, if not thousands, of stories from Saudi Arabia and this region that have never been told before, and bring this culture to the rest of the world in a way that is so real and so vibrant and so necessary.
All right, I'm sure you will agree that this has been such a great session that gives enough guarantee as to, the usefulness of multiple realities in education, entertainment, and more. And even though we see how these could adversely affect social intelligence, we're sure that innovative solutions will be birthed from this conversation to mitigate against its erosion. So I would once again like to say a big thank you to our panelists and of course to you, our awesome audience. Please do enjoy the rest of the forum. Thank you.
ضيوفنا الكرام، رحبوا معنا بإدواردو نيتو، شريك في رونالد بيرجر من البرتغال ومتحدثي هذه الجلسة.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome on stage Eduardo Neto, partner Roland Berger, Portugal, and his panel.
Well, good afternoon, and today we're very excited to talk about the future. It's about the future of the world and about the future of science, in the world. We at Roland Berger have developed a vision of the world and how the world is being deconstructed today and how the world is going to evolve into the future. That's what we have, in our screen behind me, yeah? And one thing for certain is today the world is being deconstructed. And the question is, for our side, is how are we going to evolve? Are we going to become human? Are we actually going to become enslaved? Are we become robots or be substituted by robots, or are we going to become free? And in today's panel, we're going to hear on how science can play the role for us in the future to be, free as men and women. But let me walk you through the different scenarios that we see. Yeah. So scenario number one is, we're going to be free and as humans to, do our leisurely activities. Yeah. So we're going to engage with our families. We're going to have fun, and we're going to have free time for ourselves. So that's one of the scenarios that we can envision for the world. Within that, of course, is there a chance for eternal life? Yeah. And is that view of eternal life for the privilege that have the economic power, or is the world going to evolve into more of a slave, where we just become parts and bits of data, yeah, that is managed by large data corporations that will evolve into controlling our lives, or is it about robots? And will actually robots take over, and we just, as humans serving, these machines? Or lastly, and for that, of course, we'll need, significant amount of energy. We'll have all the infrastructure connected in terms of, humans and devices. But more importantly, what is the role of the wise men and women? And what is the role of science and actually, for us to becoming free? And to answer that, I'm going to get the help of, this, distinguished panel. And allow me to introduce, first of all, Professor Tony Chen. Well, he has a... Professor Chen has an outstanding career in science, so including a deanship for physical sciences at UCLA, a role as assistant director at the UN National Science Foundation, and he served as president of the Hong Kong University of Science and Technology. And as of 2018, he's the president of KAUST in Saudi Arabia. We also have Mishari Saud, who has a thriving international career in science. He got involved in R&D, joining KACST, and worked for the nuclear energy R&D strategy for Saudi Arabia. He's currently a PhD researcher at Tsinghua University in China and a World Economic Forum Global Shaper. And to my left now, Dana Akilbekova. He's a postdoc fellow at ETH Zurich University, working in the field of tissue engineering. Apart from research, Dana is a leading science communicator, having found online platforms for bringing together young scientists that want to develop a career in science. Well then, Professor Cheng, let me start by you. And you know, what will be the role of these wise men and women in science? And will we have the end of science? So what is your views?
No, far from it. And I'm not just being an unrealistic visionary. You know, science is about understanding nature. And if you look around, there's a huge part of nature that we still don't understand. From the big, what's happening really with the origin of the universe, to, you heard about dark matter and dark energy, that means we don't understand them, to closer to home, what happened between our ears, you know, we don't understand how the brain works really, to curing cancer, you know, there are so many things that we don't understand. All you have to do is look at the recent Nobel Prizes. Let me pick two examples. Last year, one of the Nobel Prizes was given to discovery of gravitational waves. These are building very sensitive instruments internationally, and now we have a new instrument for observation on the universe. And this is 100 years after Einstein, who predicted this. This year, one of the Nobel Prizes given to immunotherapy, and this is about a new way of curing cancer. And the discovery was made 50 years ago. So you see many of these things, scientists are continuing to make progress. The lay world may not know about them because it takes 30, 40, 50 years before this thing becomes known. So I think progress in science is ongoing. Well, and then since, you know, science will have such an important role in this world of the future, science also becoming quite global, yeah, and it's a global endeavor. So how do you see these global networks evolving for the sake of science development?
First of all, I would like to thank for having me here. I'm very humbled that I can speak in front of such a big audience. It's my first time, actually. So excuse my a little bit nervous voice. I mean, that's the main task of the global science, to solve the global challenges. But as a scientist, let's define what is the global challenges we have right now. Any ideas? Global warming, right? How we can make the sustainable development of countries and people and not destroying our planet at all. Second is, of course, global health. Number of people are growing, so how are we going to address that? Are we going to treat them? Are we going to somehow prevent this? And like another challenge could be disruptive technologies. Already 2 days for a row, we're talking about how technologies are taking over the people's works. How science is gonna solve this problem about unemployment? And there's a lot of challenges. We have a poverty, we have a gender inequality, we have a food security, clean water. We created a lot of problems. Okay, as a people, we created a lot of problems. So how science can help to solve this? Just becoming truly global. But is it global right now? It is. I'm probably a big example of that. I studied in Kazakhstan, I studied in the US, I work in Switzerland right now, and now I'm here. But one of the things to make it truly global, the science, to make it inclusive for all the nations, for all the countries. And one of the ways is to make research and more open. I don't know how many of you work in science field. You probably read a lot of research articles. Do you know how expensive each research article is? At least you have to pay $35 per article, per paper, research paper. And can you imagine if you have to read like 10 papers, how many money you have to invest into that? Of course, university pay for that, countries pay for that, but it's only rich countries who can afford this kind of stuff. And information should be free. And this is how other people from developing countries can have access to that. I think that's the main point, make everything free access.
Thank you, Dan. And I think, on this global science, I mean, you and all these panel is a great example of how, science has become completely global. And Mishari, you've shown great drive in how you've built your career in science so far. So, for the audience here, what is your advice on how to become an ambitious scientist?
Well, please allow me to thank Misk Foundation for this great initiative that I personally benefited from. 2 years ago, I was a participant, and today I'm proudly and humbly speaking in front of this great audience through the amazing network and opportunities that I've experienced throughout this event. So to reflect on your question, I think every person is different, and they tend to have, each person has, specific skills and knowledge that a person developed. And this difference is what gives us our unique value. But there are shared and common traits amongst ambitious scientists. And these are surprisingly found in children. Children are curious. Children are asking a lot of questions. Children listen, probably not all children, but many of them listen. And when you tell them a story, they build imaginations in their minds. So these kind of skills are really important for an ambitious scientist. For me, what is lacking in the science community is leadership skills. For me, leadership is a pathway to self-awareness, to resilience and flexibility, to adaptability to change, and looking at the prospect of upcoming future, we need to have these kind of skills. And to reflect on what the World Economic Forum Future of Job report has indicated, they stated that there are two main trends in the upcoming future. One is a massive decline in job trends due to technology emergence, and secondly is a major growth in opportunities due to those technology emergence. And in order for an individual to seize the opportunities from the upcoming opportunities, the person should develop certain technical and social skills. And many of these skills are translated